This video contains subject matter that may get the video removed from YouTube. All of my deleted videos and more can be found on my premium pages in the description.
Reports of local flooding.
What happened was true. The most bizarre and brutal series of crimes
This statement acts as a legal disclaimer to the documentary you are about to watch. Plague Moth and Moth Media Productions and all associates do not condone, glorify, or support the acts and events in which or that are discussed in the following video. No illegal content was downloaded, traded, or viewed in the making of this video. It serves as a critical commentary and journalistic video essay on a horrific crime that occurred. The following video discusses extremely graphic media and is not suitable for viewers under the age of 18. Viewer discretion is advised. Welcome back to Tier 9 of the Ultimate Not Safe for Life iceberg. So far we've explored the depravity of what is considered the worst series of zoo sadism videos, and the monsters who produce such material. Now we will dive into a topic that no doubt will make your skin crawl. Necrophilia. The act in engaging in sexual activity with the dead, arguably one of the most disgusting and bone-chilling realities of our world. People violate the dead, and it's more common than you'd think. With gore media, the desecration of a corpse isn't exactly something foreign. It's quite common. But some instances are much more disturbing than others, like Dr. Gloves. Dr. Gloves, also known as Master, was a user on various gore websites a few years ago, and he was a producer of horrific media. You see, Dr. Gloves works at a children's hospital, and his content revolved around the abuse and exploitation of dead children, primarily infants, as he seemed to work in a mortuary. He would showcase revolting images of terminated pregnancies and miscarriages and other dead babies. He would pose with them as if he was holding a game animal. And the worst part is that the FBI allegedly cleared this incident, citing that there is no crime being committed. Dr. Gloves seemingly has vanished from the internet as well, but no one knows exactly what happened, or if he's still active elsewhere. And while Dr. Gloves desecrated corpses, he never engaged in necrophilia, at least that we know of. So imagine the kind of beast that would view a corpse as a sexual plaything, regardless of their age, or how they died. To understand this macabre story, we must go back a bit first, to 1987. Wendy Nell was a 25-year-old woman who lived in a bedsit in Tunbridge Wells, UK. A bedsit is essentially a flat. Cost of living is lower at the expense of tighter living quarters. And on June 22nd of 1987, Wendy would spend the evening with her boyfriend and his mother watching television. She would be dropped off around 11 p.m., kissed her boyfriend goodbye, and then something horrific happened. Sometime in the night, an intruder entered the flat, and Wendy was beaten, stripped, raped, and strangled. Initially, the police thought the intruder got in through an unsecured window due to a latch that was painted over. However, when they entered the flat, there were no signs of forced entry, just a defiled victim's corpse on her bed, cold and nude. 5 months later, another body would turn up, that of 20-year-old Carolyn Pierce. She too lived alone, and her body was found on a farm 40 miles away from where she was murdered. She was also beaten, raped, and strangled. After a night out with friends, she returned to her flat and presumably was attacked on her doorstep, as neighbors did report hearing screaming, but only after her body was discovered. The only evidence from the killer was a bloody fingerprint on a grocery bag and a partial footprint on a blouse of Wendy's. This was the late 1980s, and DNA testing was barely in its infancy, and with little to go on, the murders went cold. Even in 1999, when the DNA obtained was entered into a rather new database, no matches. And by 2019, DNA technology had advanced tremendously, but unless the killer had been arrested for some other offense, had his DNA taken and profile entered into the database, the DNA samples taken from the murder scenes would have remained unidentified. So investigators looked into familiar DNA to see if they could match and find a relative. They found one and began to hone in on the sibling of the match. Enter David Fuller, born September 4th of 1954 in Deal, Kent, England. In his early life, he would get into trouble with the law for stealing bikes and starting fires. He would train as an electrician and work at a Navy shipyard in Portsmouth. Throughout the 1970s, Fuller would commit what authorities described as creeper burglaries, in which he would enter a home, but not harm anyone or anything. This perhaps was a practice for horrific things he would soon do. Test runs, so to speak, much of that like other infamous killers, such as the Toolbox Killers. Fuller was an active cyclist and photographer, and spent the 1980s taking photos, biking, and following the band Cutting Crew as their unofficial photographer, and that was in 1985. Married 3 times with a teenage son, living in Heathsfield, West Sussex, Fuller would become adept at hiding skeletons in his closet. That is until December 3rd of 2020, when police arrived at his quiet, well-secured residence, noting the large amount of CCTV cameras. But when questioned about the Betsit murders, he of course denied involvement. But police would quickly discover that not only was Fuller responsible for the 2 murders, he was also hiding an even darker passion. In his home, police found over 20 years of collective evidence detailing David Fuller's necrophiliac habits. He recorded himself raping over 80 corpses, ages ranging from 9 years old all the way up to a 100-year-old woman. In his home, he hoarded diaries and hard media that essentially detailed his whole life and disgusting habits. Meticulously and obsessively, Fuller also recorded his life and favored the most macabre details. In his home, police found over 34,000 printed photographs and hard media that he had been creating and collecting since the 1980s, including 2,200 hard drives and 30 mobile phones full of photos and videos. Behind a nightstand, police found a secret slot where 4 more hard drives were hidden, presumably showing his most recent desecrations. Over 1 million individual images were recovered. And in his meticulousness, Fuller also organized his necro content by name, date, etc., keeping a horrific catalog of his victims and even editing videos and photos to his liking. One video, Fuller screenshotted over 1,800 individual pictures from. Some folders had titles including Necrolord, Register, Deadly, Deadliest, and Best Yet. Some of these victims were violated pre-examination and some post. Fuller was able to do this for so long because he essentially groomed the hospital staff to trust and allow him free roam. He even had a swipe card. The harmless, boring maintenance man couldn't hurt anyone in a hospital, right? But over the course of 2 decades, Fuller had access to 2 hospital mortuaries, and is confirmed to have necrophiled over 100 corpses, but authorities believe there were more victims. It is unknown if any of Fuller's collection made it to the internet. Given his ego and pride towards his crimes, it would not be too surprising. A career necrophiliac with over 2 decades of crimes where he gathered trophies and calculated every disgusting move, cataloging each vile crime. David Fuller was arrested and was handed a life sentence, so he'll spend the rest of his life in prison. But his foul legacy has stained the world and our minds with the knowledge of horrific acts he's committed. And as of now, it is unknown exactly how many victims he had.